Hello, and welcome to Speak Honest. I am your host and certified relationship coach, Jennifer Noble. It has been my passion for over a decade to help women like you heal what's been holding you back from having the relationships you deserve. Are you struggling with a relationship where you can't seem to voice your emotions, needs, and boundaries without having it blow up in your face? Then you have found the right podcast, my friend. Get ready for practical tips, empowering truths, and honest conversations. Now, let's dive in. Hello, Speak Honest listeners. I hope you're having a great day, and I can't wait for you to listen to this coaching call. In this conversation with Christine, she is hoping to find a way to resolve an issue she recently had with her husband. But we also learned that this isn't just a one-time thing. But honestly, when is it ever a one-time thing, right? Having this recent situation, though, really helped us to pinpoint what the struggles are in her relationship and what she needs to fix them. Now, I go to a lot of different places with Christine in this episode because I really wanted her to get a really good overview of what she could be working on to further help her along with this. But what I mainly want you to listen for is the difference between our perceptions and our feelings, as well as how our beliefs influence our actions. So now I want you to keep all of that in mind as we dive in with Christine. Hi, Christine. Thank you so much for coming on the podcast with me today. How can I help?
I've been really struggling with communication in my marriage, and I just kind of need some help, some advice on whether it's me or whether I just need to talk differently to my husband, or I just really need some help.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Is it the communication specifically that you're struggling with right now?
Yeah.
Can you tell me what's going on with that?
Well, for example, my husband's been doing a bowling league for the past few weeks, and he hasn't really necessarily said, hey, I would love for you to come. He has said, hey, come if you can. So last night he got very upset that I didn't come, even though I told him I'm not sure what time this dog I'm watching is getting picked up. So I never actually said yes to him, but I guess he thought that I did. So we had a big old fight over that.
Okay, so I'm hearing you say that he wanted you to come to his bowling league, and he kind of asked, but kind of didn't really ask. Kind of one of those passive asks.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you didn't really say yes or no, but you did say, I'll see, but I have to wait to see when the dog gets picked up.
Yeah, exactly.
And then in the end, you ended up not going.
Yes. Yeah.
And he got really upset by that.
Yes.
Okay. What happens when he gets upset? How did that conversation go?
I always try and say sorry and try and understand him. Whereas in the past, I would get angry and all these things, but I'm kind of trying to work on myself and try to understand his side versus my old ways. But sometimes I do get tired of saying sorry, to always create the peace when he doesn't seem like he cares. When I try to communicate and talk to him, he used to always get mad at me for acting like nothing happened the next day and never talking and resolving our issues, and now he pushes me away.
Let's sit with that for a second. Let's just take a breath together. How are you feeling right now?
Just sad.
This is a very safe space to let those tears come up.
I want this marriage to work so hard, but he just doesn't seem like it. When I try and communicate, he just says, oh, okay, I guess it's just me. And he gets all very defensive, when I'm trying so hard.
And you are trying so hard. I can see that. And I love that you've really tried to work on yourself and you're trying to take accountability with your sorries. That sounds amazing.
Thank you.
It's also really hard. Relationships are incredibly difficult, even the ones when they love each other the most. So that's sadness that you're feeling right now. These tears that are coming up.
Yeah.
If you kind of close your eyes and you just kind of really let the tears kind of come up if you need them to, that's fine. And we take a big deep breath again. Where do you feel this sadness in your body? If I ask you that question, does that make sense?
Yeah. Probably in my throat and in my heart.
What does it feel like on your throat? Does it feel tight? Does it feel stiff? What's it feel like there?
Probably tight. Yeah.
Yeah. And if that tightness, if it wanted to say something, what would it say right now?
To let that go.
Beautiful. Let that go. Yeah. So let's sit with that for a second. Let that go. What do you think that might be?
I mean, I'm so caring and I'm so always trying to make people happy, always trying to make things better. And sometimes it's like it's out of my control on their people's responses. And so that's the biggest thing I think I'm working on is that.
Yeah. So is it the responses that you kind of want to let go?
Yeah. Like knowing when to stop, knowing when he's kind of done and doesn't want to talk anymore, whereas I just want to resolve it. So I try so hard, but
very common.
But yeah, it's like, no, Christine.
Yeah. It does sound like you're very caring. And I can really see that in your heart. And I can just kind of see that in how you're talking. Even when you're talking about him, there's a sense of love there. There's not, he's doing this, screw him, blah, blah, blah. There's a real sense of like care. And I can really see that. And also this need for you where you're caring and you're always trying to make other people happy. How far back does that need go? If you could remember.
Probably as a child. I mean, yeah, because I'm the middle child. So,
okay.
I kind of got picked on and sometimes it wasn't my fault, but I got blamed. And so, yeah, there's probably definitely some trauma.
Oh yeah. So if when you're picked on and you're getting blamed for things, when you're a kid, sometimes it can make it easier for you when you are trying to make everyone around you happy, right? Because if everyone around you happy, then what?
Then there's peace normally, and
yeah, then you're safe because with peace comes safety, right? So when you were bullied and blamed, was this in your house or at school? Maybe both.
I think it was both. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like my older sister.
Always the older sister. I'm the baby of the family, so I get here.
I love it.
Yeah. But yeah, that can be quite rough. What was it like with your parents growing up?
I'm very blessed to, have both my parents still married. And so I kind of look up to that. And I've had a great life. So I've definitely been raised well. And whereas I kind of had to adjust and learn my husband in that way because he was not raised with two parents. And so that took me a while to kind of understand we're very, very different. He was raised from his mom, and which is great. But yeah, there's a lot of history there.
Yeah. And something that I kind of want to dive into with you today is this need to try to make people happy. And the reason I bring that up is because in order to communicate with your husband well, we almost need to find a way to be okay with him being annoyed, being angry, and being sad. But that comes with an understanding of allowing people their emotions and allowing people to kind of have those big feelings. Now, if I said to you right now, if he came to you and he said, I'm so angry that you didn't come to my bowling and I'm pissed and I can't believe you did that. Like, seriously, what the hell? And if you came back and you said, you're right, I'm sorry. Next time, let's be a little bit more communicative about it. What does that feel like for you?
I mean, that's where I want to get is, being able to communicate why he's so mad that I didn't go and how we got there, in the first place.
Why do you think he was so mad? That's a great question.
That's a very good question. Yeah. I tried to explain to him, like, hey, like, I'm trying to do this whole new job thing, so I'm very busy during the day. And I also watch dogs, So I tried to communicate, hey, I don't know if I can always go, but maybe he's just happy he's trying something new. So he wants me to be there, So I kind of got defensive, like, hey, I never said I was going, whereas maybe I could have said, like you say, you're right. I can tell you really wanted me to go to this. Next time I'll try to.
And great, let's actually stop down right there. And it doesn't even, so that's perfect, because what I hear was you started off well, which is the validation. So when it comes to communication, the very first thing we want to do before anything else is validate the other person's feelings, no matter if you agree with them or not. If he's looking at you and he's just like, this whole room is pink or something like that, you'd be like, okay, well, I don't see it that way, but sure. I can see why you think that, and that's validation. Validation is not like acceptance. It's not saying I agree with you. It's not agreement. It's just saying I hear you. And the best way that we can be heard in return is if we validate first. The very first step before anything is validation. So we say, oh, yeah, I can see why you're really frustrated by that. And especially in those moments when they're really heightened, that's sometimes the place we stop. And then we come back later when there's a little bit more of a calmness in our body, because we don't want to be talking when we're both angry, because if we are, our prefrontal cortex is shut down. We go straight into that primate mode where we are just talking out of our asses.
Yeah.
No one's saying anything they really mean, and everyone is just like turned into tiny little toddlers, and they're just going, no, you suck. No, you suck. And it doesn't work. And so we want to first validate him. But let's really dig into that again. Why do you think he's mad?
I don't know. Maybe he feels I haven't been there supporting him. I wish I knew why he was mad about me not coming.
Well, what made you jump into defensiveness? So if he's mad, we will typically have a story we're telling ourselves as to why someone is mad at us. And so I would love to really figure that out inside of your headspace today, if we can, because I think the fact that you don't know what it is the thing that's making me, my little like coachy senses going, there's something there. So he comes in, he's mad. You immediately get defensive. Why?
Because I think I feel like he's putting words into my mouth that I said yes, that I would come,
So let's stop down there real quick. You think he put words into your mouth that you would come. And how did that make you feel?
I felt less than. I didn't like it. So I wanted to try and make it right and explain to him that I didn't.
But real quick, if we come back to our feelings, because this is the second part, after we validate, we have to understand how we feel about something in order to communicate that back with someone. Because if we say to someone, have you ever heard of the concept of talking and feeling statements? Like, I feel this way, and that's why I want you to do this, right? This gets thrown around a lot in a lot of these therapy circles. The unfortunate side effect is a lot of times people turn this the wrong way, and they say things like, I feel like you're an asshole. Or like that. Or you even kind of said to an extent, like, I feel like you put words into my mouth. Is that a feeling statement? That's not how you feel, is it? That's what you think. You think the story you're telling yourself is that he's putting words into your mouth. How do you think that might make someone feel if words have been put into their mouth?
That's a very good point. And I think I struggle with that is thinking the wrong thing out of what someone said. Yeah.
So I'm creating this course to help people with their relationships. And I have an entire week dedicated to just understanding the difference between feelings and perceptions. So you're not alone on this. In fact, I could probably do 12 weeks on this alone. It's a lot. And a lot of people confuse this. But the reason I think it's so important is because let me ask you how these two sentences feel to you. Okay. If I said to you right now, I feel like you're not paying attention to me every time you start writing.
Yeah.
Or I say, hey, I'm feeling a little bit confused right now because I'm noticing that every time I'm talking, you're looking down. Can you tell me what's going on there? And by the way, I don't actually care that you're writing. I think it's great. It was like I was trying to think of something you were actually doing to get my point across. Please keep doing it. But do you feel the difference?
Yeah.
How did you feel with each statement?
The first one was very in your face versus the other one was like, oh, okay. I understood it better. Yeah.
Yeah. And one is coming at a place of blame. And the thing is when we go in that place, Because people often say, whenever I try to share my feelings with my partner, they invalidate me. But when I dig deeper, it's because I'm realizing the feeling statements they're using are actually blame statements. And it makes perfect sense. Even when you said, oh, what was it? I think you said something like, I felt
unheard, I think.
Yeah, even that right there.
Mm-hmm.
This sounds like a feeling statement. This is probably one of the most covert concepts of feeling statements. But listen to that. I feel unheard. What is that actually saying?
To me, it sounds like I feel like he's not listening or...
Exactly. So when you tell someone, I feel unheard, what you're actually saying is, you're not listening to me. Now imagine how that must feel to someone. Because imagine if they are listening. And now you just told them that you're not. But how does it feel when someone's not listening to you?
It hurts a lot.
Yeah. And that is the vulnerability that we have to get to. So now we get to say, hey, babes, I feel really hurt right now. I know you don't mean to, but it's just like the story I'm telling myself is that you're not really listening. I know you're trying really hard, but like, do you think you can help me with this? That's the communication style we want to slowly work towards. And to get there, we have to get into our feelings. And that's why I keep pulling you back there. I keep asking, like, how do you feel right now? Where do you feel it? What does it feel like? Because the only way to get there in the moment specifically is to figure that out. So he comes in, he says, why weren't you at the bowling alley? Bam, right there. How do you feel?
Sad at the way he came about it and went about it. And I think that's my biggest struggle is he comes at me like all powerful and upset, whereas I wish he would say things in a nicer way, I guess. It's hard to, yeah.
I know that, yeah. Let me ask you, this is a fun one. He comes at you with this kind of passion and this aggression, right? Is there anywhere else in your relationship where you kind of love that passion and aggression?
Yeah, I mean, he's an amazing man. He's an amazing worker. You know, there's so many great qualities about him.
That fiery kind of like, it sounds like he's a little feisty and a little fiery. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah. That fieriness inside of him. Is there something about like when you're out, like, does he stand up for you when you guys are out somewhere? Does he make sure that he protects you? Is he fiery in other places in your life that it kind of attracts you?
Yeah, he's always been very protective of me, which is very nice.
Yeah. As I say that to say, I bring that part up because oftentimes the thing we kind of want to change about our partner, if we did, we would change completely who they are. So we kind of want to get to a level of acceptance of this is kind of who he is a little bit. Now, I'm not saying we have to put up with this. I think there's still ways to get there, but we have to first get to a level of acceptance that he's a little feisty.
Yeah.
So when he comes in hot like that, you know, you don't need to take it personally. We get to then let that ride over us. And then we can kind of say, whoa, babes, you're coming in hot. I'm really sorry you're upset, but can we talk about this when we've calmed down?
I have gotten a little bit better at that.
Awesome.
You know, throughout our over 10, I guess, years of noticing when his tone changes. Like, yeah, so I say, oh, okay, I can tell you're getting a little upset. You know, your voice is raising.
Oh,
type.
Can I stop down there real quick? That's a really great example that I would love to bring up. When someone's tone is like rising or something like that. Well, actually, let me ask you this question first. When you say to him, hey, I can tell you're getting a little upset, how does he take that?
He gets defensive. I know I'm,
yeah. Yeah, right there. That's again coming, you're putting words and thoughts into his body.
Okay.
And his body is his. Autonomy, 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 right? That just means like we are each our own person. And especially for men, like,
yeah,
don't go telling them what they're feeling, right? But that right there, I can see your intention. Your intention behind that is to help him. But is it helping?
No.
So instead, if you notice his tone is rising, check in with your body first. First off, if it's rising, that's okay, right? Like, it's okay if he's going to get upset a little bit. We can let his tone rise. It's okay. We're safe. And instead, we're going to check in with our body, see how we feel. His voice is rising a little bit. And so maybe you're starting to feel a little bit scared.
Yeah.
So instead, you'd say, hey, babes, I'm starting to notice that to me, your voice is rising a little bit. And I'm feeling that feeling of that scared feeling again. Now, this is going to happen after a deeper conversation. When you guys are both settled and you guys are in a good place, we're going to have to start having conversations with him where you're saying, hey, I'm working on myself. There's some things I've noticed. I have some patterns where I try really hard to make everyone around me happy. And I think it's backfiring. And I'm working on that. And so I'm going to be trying to come a little bit more honest about things. And I might say some, weird things. And, such as I feel scared. Just know that I'm not scared of you. It's just bringing back some past things in my life from when there were voices raised in my life, from when there was anger around me. And it scares me a little bit, but that's not about you, babes. It's just about me. But can you help me with that? If there's one sentence that you can tack on the end of anything with a partner, especially with a man who's quite masculine, is, can you help me with this? And only if it comes from an authentic place. I'm not trying to play like a little dainty damsel in distress kind of shit over here. What I'm saying is what you're trying to do here is you actually are asking for help. You genuinely are. Because what you're asking for is you're saying, I'm having an emotional reaction.
Yeah.
And I need your help to pull me out of this. You are asking for help. We are asking for help when we do this. So we're going to say, I'm feeling scared right now over this conversation. Can we have it later? Or I'm feeling scared. Do you mind lowering your tone of voice? And if he comes back and he says, my voice isn't loud, I know you don't think it is. And I agree. Around other people, it's probably fine. But right now with me, something about it is making me scared.
Yeah.
How do you think he might react to some of that?
I don't necessarily think he would like me saying, yeah, oh, I'm scared. I think he would probably react in a bad way to that. But then again, I don't know because I haven't tried using that.
True. It's going to be one of those really hard things that you really have to think about in terms of where you want to go in your relationship. But let me ask you this. If he came to you and said, I'm scared, and you dismissed him, what would that say about you?
I would think it would mean I don't care, I don't care about this person's feelings or.
So you get to do that. So you get to come up and you get to say, hey, I feel really scared when your voice gets raised. And if he says that's ridiculous, why would you say something like that? Then you get to say, hey, now I feel sad. I feel sad because you just dismissed my feelings of being scared. And then if he says, this is getting ridiculous, why are you doing this? Be like, babes, what's going on right now? Why are we acting this way? I love you. I'm trying to express to you how I'm feeling because I love you. And then also you can be like, if this is too much right now, then we need to talk about this later, but we do need to talk about this later. And that's where couples counseling or something might actually come in handy because sometimes these conversations are just hard to have. And we want to start them small. We want to go in these places. Now, I talked a lot about how to say all these bad emotions, blah, 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 blah. I want to talk now about how we turn that around. But before I do, I want to just check in real quick. How are you feeling? Of course. And do you feel like we're on the right track of what you're looking for here?
I think all of this is very helpful because I've been trying so hard to work on my words, on my pausing and thinking before I even go and talk to him. So everything you're saying is very helpful. Just knowing the right things to say, because I think that's the biggest problem is the way I go about it, is what causes all the hurt.
Yeah. And just remember that there's a reason why you're reacting the way that you are. And it's because there's that little Christine from back in the day who was blamed and bullied when she was little. And so she developed coping mechanisms to keep her safe back then. She did a great job keeping you safe, but you're older now and you don't need those. Think of it this way. If you're in the Northeast somewhere and it's freezing cold and it's snowing, right? And so you put all these layers on to stay safe in the snow. What happens if you leave all of these layers on when it gets to be 100 degrees outside in the summer?
You would get very hot and
probably have a heat stroke.
Yeah.
Yeah. But those clothes aren't bad. They did their job when you needed them, but you don't need it anymore. But just understand that your natural inclination is going to be to still jump to this. You cannot outwill your subconscious. We have our subconscious down here, which is responsible for about 95% of all of our thoughts, our emotions, our memories, our movements, our blinking, our breathing. Okay. We only live in our conscious mind 5% of the time. So all these notes that you're taking, this is your conscious. So if you imagine in a conversation you're having with your husband, you're only going to get 5% of that conversation to use these notes. You can create new, they're called neural pathways, but for like an easier thing, right? You can create new paths in your brain that keep you calm, but it takes time. It's just like building a muscle. It's just like going for a walk, right? It's almost like you're learning to walk again, but with your mind. So you have to start learning how to calm your body. When he comes in and he's coming in hot, your body is going to have a reaction. And that's when you're going to check in with yourself. You can put a hand on your heart if you want to, whatever grounds you. And you can just be like, okay, how am I feeling right now? Where am I feeling it? And you did a great job. You were like, I feel it in my throat. And I feel like it's tight. And I feel like it's saying, let go. And in that moment, you can even visualize whatever it is around your neck letting go. And that will actually create a pathway in your brain and your body to relax. And then you're going to start doing that. So when he comes in hot, you're going to be like, okay, hold on, I got this. And then you can start using those conscious things because you're going to be able to. But it starts at the ground level. That's the hardest part. That's why people have the same conversations over and over again, have the same arguments, have the same patterns time and time and time again, because we're all just trying to outwill our subconscious. We have to start small. It's little things like when you fall asleep at night, think about the great things he's doing. You want to think about him in a positive way.
Yeah.
You want to think about yourself in a positive way. You want to teach yourself you're safe to not make him happy. You're safe to have these conversations. It's these reminders in your brain and really feel them. Now I'm going through what is like years and weeks practice. I'm trying to get it all in one go. So I hope I'm not overwhelming you. But what I'm also hoping is that you're going to piece part some of this together, maybe do your own research later, see what works for you. But I wanted to touch on something real quick that I think might really help you. And it's working towards a solution. So we have our feelings, right? We're scared, we're hurt. These are all the bad feelings, the negative feelings. When we are talking to our partners, one of the best things I've ever found is using positive feeling statements to get across what you like. It's more receptive. They tend to like it more. So first, the easiest way to get there, though, is you have to figure out what you don't like. Because that's easy, right? You piss me off. Like, just put your damn coffee mug in the sink. It's not that hard. I'm probably projecting.
No, that's great.
But instead of saying, babes, I feel frustrated when you don't put your coffee mug in the sink. God, we have this conversation all the time, right? That's a very working against the problem kind of vibe. Instead, we could say something like, it makes me feel just so taken care of when you put your coffee mug in the sink, because it means I don't have to worry about finding it. And then it's right there when I'm doing it. And God, it's just such a relief. Thank you so much.
Yeah. That brings me back to what I could have said about the whole bowling thing. Like, I could have said, hey, thank you so much for wanting me to come see you bowl. Like, I'm honored that you want me there, instead of getting so mad or just taking it to heart or, things that I have done all my life.
I love that.
Just reading it the wrong way.
Well, and because that's very common, you're going to read it. So the way this works is we have our beliefs. It's BTEA, okay? So we have our beliefs, and then we have our thoughts, and then we have our emotions, and then we have our actions. Our beliefs are the deep-seated kind of beliefs that we have about ourselves. And for many people, these are kind of those limited beliefs. I am not enough. I am uncared for. I am unlovable. I am unworthy. All of these are those beliefs, those deep-seated beliefs. Then the thought comes in. And that thought is, he doesn't love me, or this always happens, or this is never going to end. Those are the thoughts, which then create the emotions of fear and anger and frustration and sadness and despair, all of those. And then we have our actions, which is what you're struggling with, which is your defensiveness. So that defensiveness comes out because all the way over here, there's a belief that he doesn't care for me. If I ask you right now, do you think he cares for you?
100%, yes.
Yeah. So I'm going to ask one more time, but I'll give you a hint. Why do you think he was mad that you didn't go to the bowling alley?
Maybe I didn't listen to him.
I'm just going to give you my thought process and you can take it or leave it. I think he's mad that you didn't come to the bowling alley because he cares that much. He loves you so much that he wanted you to be there at a thing that he loves to do.
Yeah.
He loves you. He cares for you. He wants you. So now think about that. Think about how much he loves you, that he wanted you there so badly that it created this entire reaction. Let's sit with that for a second, actually. It's coming up for you right now.
It's just all how I perceived it. And I mean, you're so right. It's so true. Like, yeah, I need to look at it, how much he cares about me and wants me to be at, in every part of his life. And not every guy is like that. So, I mean,
Many are not. Yeah.
It is a good thing. So
it's a beautiful thing
that you're bringing that out, bringing the truth out about that, and helping me see that in a totally different way.
So now let's practice. How does it feel that he wanted you there that bad? How does it feel now?
Feels amazing. Yeah. That he cares so much and doesn't just exclude me. And yeah.
Yeah. And what kind of amazing? Amazing what? Like, how does it feel?
It feels good. I feel love. Yeah.
So he comes perfect right there. So he comes in hot. Why didn't you come to my effing bowling alley? Right there in that moment. Imagine now looking at his face, and all you see are like little hearts around his face of love. He just doesn't know how to express it. And again, that's a whole other thing. I would talk about the fact that he still can't be yelling at you and all this stuff, right? But we only have so much time here today. And so I want to stick with that one particular thing, which is to say he loves you so much. He wanted you to be there. Now you see that. You see how much he loves you. And you can say, oh, wow. Babe, oh my gosh, you're right. What a miscommunication. I can't believe you wanted me there that much. I feel so loved right now. You have every right to be angry. I would be angry too. Shit, I messed up. Oh my God, what can we do to fix this? What a terrible miscommunication. In the future, could you please be more clear with me? I messed that up. My bad. Would that feel good to say something like that?
Yeah, I think I definitely want to talk to him again and try and make this better. And yeah.
You can go to him and you can say, I thought about what you said and I can see now why you're really upset that I didn't come. And I think that, I actually feel really loved that you wanted me there and I'd like to really come again. Now, here's the thing. There's a high chance he's going to be like, whatever, it's no big deal. Don't go in expecting him to have had the same conversation with me that you just had.
Yeah.
Unless he's on his own coaching podcast with some guy. He's still going to be a little unhealed and a little, pouty. And when he's pouty, why do you think he's going to be pouty? He'll be pouty because he loves you.
Yeah.
And he doesn't know how to express it. And he's going to be like, well, whatever, it doesn't matter anyways. And you're like, I know, it doesn't matter. You're right. And also, let's communicate a little bit better next time. I almost just want you to see his little wounded boy. When he gets that way, he's not talking from his adult brain. Just like when you get defensive, you're not talking from your adult brain. All right, how's this all landing right now?
It's very, very helpful. And I love this so much. So thank you.
You're very welcome. Just as we're finishing up here right now, is there anything else that you're thinking of or you want any help with before we finish up? I want to make sure I leave you in a good space.
I guess if it gets to that again, where he's just like, I'll just get over it and be fine, in the morning, yet he's not because he doesn't text me, right? Like he normally does. So it's like, I guess.
Just let him pout.
Yeah. Just let it go.
Yeah. And not even just but truly let it go. Don't stew on it. Let it go. You know the difference? I know the difference. I've done the difference. I'm letting it go. I'm not at all. I'm holding it for the next fight. That kind of, but truly honor his feelings. And he says, I'm fine. I'll just get over it. And you can just be like, okay, yeah, I trust you. I trust, this is a great one too for men. Is I trust you know what to do with your own body. I trust you know what to do. I trust that you know what's best for you.
Yeah.
And then he might not text you the next day because he needs a moment. He's hurt.
Yeah.
Let's let him be hurt. And we're going to be okay that he's hurt because we know it doesn't mean anything about you. It's just his little boy that got a little bit hurt. He got rejected.
Yeah. And
that's not your fault. I want to be very clear here. Don't make him happy. It's it's still okay that you didn't go to the bowling alley. There was a miscommunication. This was not your fault. It was a pure, just genuine miscommunication. You did not need to do anything else in order to fix this. You did not need to be ahead of this. You did not need to notice anything, because if you start going in that direction, it's going to make it worse. This was just a genuine misunderstanding.
That makes sense. Yeah. That's my biggest thing, is looking too much into it.
Yes. Because if you look into it and you can, this is why. Because if you look into it and you can figure it out, you can prevent it from happening next time, which means you'll stay safe. Everything our subconscious does is to keep us safe. But unfortunately, because it wants to do this beyond anything else, it's like a little toddler that wants to grab at everything, and it doesn't think of the natural long-term consequences. Because the thing is if you're afraid of this, then there's a tendency that it comes true, because it's what our brain focuses on. So if you're constantly worried about the next time he's going to get upset, then he's going to get upset quicker. Whereas if you just really just let him be, and because especially they need to like have this elastic band, right? Where they kind of pull back and then they snap. And then they pull back and then they snap. And they kind of need this, like, we have our own personal rhythms as women, right? Where we have our flow and we have our monthlies and we have all this stuff going on. They have theirs as well. It's just not as cycled.
Yeah.
And they need these moments where they get really heightened and they kind of need to pull away for a little bit. Trust him, trust in you, trust in your relationship. Let him stretch out again. He'll come right back. Trust in him and allow him his autonomy to be a bit pouty. Let men be pouty. It's good for them.
That's great. I will work on that. Yeah, just giving him his time.
And remember, it won't change overnight. This is a long process. So keep doing the work. Look into anything it is that I kind of brought up today. And I would recommend that you look into either someone for yourself to keep talking about this stuff with, whether it be a therapist or a coach or something, because we all need help. Even I have my own therapist myself. We all need to be having someone to talk this stuff through. And if it's not getting any better with him in 3 to 6 months' time, look into maybe a couples counselor. Everyone needs one.
Yeah.
They're just good to have. It's like a help. We don't have the community aspect that we used to have back in the day.
Yeah.
And so sometimes we just need a little help. Doesn't mean there's anything wrong with it. That's my last encouragement for you.
Well, thank you so much for your time and your amazing, encouraging words. I appreciate it so much.
You're very, very welcome. And thank you so much for coming on here and for just opening up and being vulnerable. I think so many people have been in your shoes, that this is going to help so many people. And that really excites me. I'm sorry that your downfall had to excite me, but no, this was really good. And I appreciate you so much, Christine. And thank you so much. And I will talk to you later.
All right. Thank you.
Bye. Just so happy that Christine was able to jump on a call with me. And I'm so grateful she was willing to share this with all of you, because I think this miscommunication and anger is something that happens in so many relationships. You can really see that moment when I ask her for the third time, why was he mad at her? And she just couldn't come up with the idea that he loved her that damn much. And when I offered that up as a possibility, it brought up a lot of emotions for her, because really receiving that much love is overwhelming. Now, I am not saying that we put up with bad behavior just because someone loves us. Let me know if I need to repeat that for the people in the back. Just because they love us doesn't mean it's okay that they treat us that way. But what I am saying is, if we can take out the stories and beliefs that he doesn't care about us or he's not listening to me, then we can see what is the pain behind the anger. And if we can see that pain, we can better address it. So coming towards your husband with an intention of, I see your anger and I understand it. And also, we need to find another way for us to communicate because I'm starting to feel scared, is much better instead of a defensive intention that just creates more disconnection, which was exactly what was happening here with Christine. So if we can get her to a place of seeing how much he cares, how much he loves her, how much he wanted her to be there, then she will be able to better communicate what she needs to him. And being able to identify her emotions and her feelings and use those to communicate versus telling him her perceptions as fact, this is going to allow her to really and truly get heard And that's always the main goal here. See, I actually go into all of this in my 12-week course, especially the perceptions and the emotions portion. I think it's so important that I dedicated a whole week to learning just about the difference between those two things. Because if we can master when we are perceiving versus when we are feeling, then our communication will be able to level up in a way that allows our feelings to be validated. Because remember, if you say, I feel unheard, that's not a feeling. That's a perception. And someone can easily say, no, you weren't. I was totally hearing you the whole time. But if we say, I feel frustrated when someone isn't understanding what I'm saying, or maybe I feel hurt when someone talks over me, then all they can say in that moment is, well, I wasn't talking over you. But they can't say you weren't hurt. And if they do say, well, I wasn't talking over you, then you can say, well, I know you didn't mean to, but something about the way that we're talking right now is hurting my heart. Can we please take a break, or can you wait till I'm done talking, please, to speak? With taking the emotion and then using that as the base of our conversations, we have the potential to truly connect with our partners instead of disconnecting from them. Because remember, conflict is perfectly normal, if not healthy, in relationships. We need to rupture and repair in order to build resilience in the relationship. Now, if you would like to get coaching on a conflict or rupture that you've recently had in your relationship, head over to speak-honest.com to sign up for a podcast coaching call with me. Or if you'd like to keep your coaching private, I am currently offering one-on-one coaching through my Patreon. Head over to patreon.com/speakhonest to check out all of the different tiers that I'm currently offering. Well, that is it for today, and I'll speak to you all next week. As we wrap up today's conversation, always remember that healing is a journey, not a destination. And it is an honor to be a part of your healing journey. If you want to dig deeper into the topics we covered today, be sure to head over to our show notes where you can find all of the valuable information mentioned in today's episode right there. And please remember to rate, review, and subscribe if you enjoyed today's podcast. Your feedback means the world to us and helps others discover our podcast. Until next time, remember to speak up and speak honest.